Late 1950s, my parents got married, jumped on their Lambretta and went for their honeymoon in Norway. But by the 1960s, beaches like this one at Weston-super-Mare had become a battleground between the mods and the rockers. And their chariots of war were, of course, the motorbikes versus the scooters. Now, some 30 years on, we find that bands like Oasis are making the original Lambretta really popular again.
Un bel motore che veloce va, poi ci mettiamo un bel fanale ed un clacson dalla voce originale che ti fa.
This is one of the original Lambretta adverts. Weren't they stylish? And one man who knows all about original style, because he remembers it the first time round, is Nigel Cox.
The Lambretta motor scooter was made just after the war in 1947. Vespa had the first scooter in 1946, using an engine that used to start the aircraft with. And after that, Lambretta bought one out in 1947.
So how did they catch on over here in the UK?
What happened was people went to Italy on holiday and they saw these scooters, and a gentleman called Peter Agg, who used to import wine from Italy, was over there on one of his trips, and he saw these little scooters, so he thought, well, we'll try it, and he bought a few, and then that's how it started.
Now, you've got a range of models here. Talk me through some of them.
Right, well, I mean, overall, there's about 67 models that Lambretta produced from 47 to 72. I've got a Lambretta three-wheeler FB, which you can see a sign written as an ice cream wagon. In 1949, they produced 2,001 of these, and now we only know 4 that exist, and this is one of the 4. Other scooters we've got here, there's some electric start LDs, the same as the one that I'm sitting on now, but with electric start. And what they used to do with that, rather than a kickstart, there was a little motor, 2 6-volt batteries on it, and that was a good concept, but they finished it in 57 for some reason. This is a 1957 LD. Really, in the heyday of Lambrettas, I mean, in the late 50s when most of them were sold, and most people who had a scooter in those days couldn't afford a car, and this is the nearest thing to a car. In fact, they used to call it a car with 2 wheels. And as you can see, it's got all the panniers and shopping bags, and people would make their local trips to the shops and go on holiday with it. And once you got behind these screens, even in the wet weather, you kept reasonably dry on it.
And what sort of accessories are there? Because it's gleaming with chrome.
Well, on this one, we put as many parts on as we possibly could fit. As well as the chrome things, there's a clock here we've got, which is an original Lambretta clock. Now, something like that nowadays would make £150, if you can find one. We've got wind tone air horns. With all the accessories, and I think it's probably worth at least £2,500. As well as obviously the proper big Lambrettas, many companies made the scooters in those days as toys. As you can see, there's some here that children can sit on, they're battery models, and these were made all through the 50s and 60s. And some of these now, in particular the Spot-On, if you have it mint and box, can be about £250, so you can see what value they are.
What's the most unusual piece in your collection?
Well, I have a TV200 sidecar, which many people had on motorbikes, but it was quite unusual to see it on a scooter because unless you had a bigger CC engine, it wasn't very powerful.
So what are the rarest pieces?
Well, besides the Lambrettas themselves and the memorabilia, and if you look round here, you'll see many posters. Now, all these are obviously paper posters, and they were bought out at the time for each and every model that came out had a poster. But of course, as the promotion finished, people threw it away. So nowadays you'll find calendars.